Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tequila Chats. We are so excited to start season 2 of our series in this gorgeous home with one of my favorite people in the entire world, Jade Mills. Thank you very much, Jade, for being so generous and hosting us in your home. And thank you very much for taking the time to have this conversation with me. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ricardo. You know how much I love you.
Oh, well.
And anything you ever ask me to do, I'm there.
You are the best.
The very first time we met was a very similar situation.
It was, yes.
And they were interviewing us, and someone said to me, I want you to go in this room and talk to this person. He is amazing. You're going to be so comfortable with him. And I walked in.
Who was it?
And I think it was Craig Hogan.
Yeah. No, who was there? Who was the person you were going to be comfortable with?
Just you and me. And
I remember this.
And we had a conversation, and I said, oh my gosh, I love you, and you're going to be a superstar, and look at you.
Well, it's been love at first sight with you. Thank you very much.
Love at first sight.
And I have to say this, and I said this to you before, I love you to death for many reasons. One of them is that you have been such an incredible person to me. Your support to me, your just being there for me has meant the world, personally, professionally, at every level. So thank you. Thank you very much, my love. And thank you for being
But it's been my pleasure, and what is the reason for that? Because you're an amazing, kind human being.
You're too sweet. Thank you very much.
It's
and
true.
I haven't given her any tequila yet.
No tequila yet, not yet.
So if you haven't met Jade Mills, you have been living under a rock because she really is as iconic as it gets. She is really the definition of real estate. She's the definition of luxury real estate. And as you can see, she's the definition of just being a wonderful, extraordinary person, generous, humble. So thank you very much again. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And so as you know, it's Tequila Chats because we have to drink some tequila. And I'm so happy that you haven't tried this one.
I haven't.
I actually do love it. This is a repeat for me. I usually try to get stuff that I haven't tried before, but this one is one of my new favorites. I found it like around a year ago. There's a restaurant in Boston called Contessa. And there's a person that works there. Her name is Cairo. I'm giving you too much story, but she's incredible. And she's like, you have to try this tequila. So it's a Don Julio. It's that 1942 Don Julio. It's a reposado.
Way before I was born.
Yes, of course, of course. And
Thank God.
So not only is reposado, but it's also rosado. It's a pink color. Because what they do is they finish it in this Portuguese poured casks. And so it gives it the little distinctive pink color, but it gives it also a little bit of a, almost like a berry-like.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, so I think that you're gonna like. And you know, usually everything has caramel undertones. You know what I'm talking about. So it's gonna be absolutely delicious. Oh, I always really overpour.
Wait, that's not enough. I'm only kidding.
We'll have more. We'll put it right there. I won't even put the cap on it. No, actually I should. But cheers, my love.
Cheers.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And so, to remind all of you, but also to kind of like bring context. Oh, by the way, do you like? Isn't it delicious?
Very good.
It's almost like a.
It's straight tequila.
Yeah, it is delicious.
Very good.
The way that it should be. And so, Tequila Chats, to remind all of you, it's about speaking with people, business people that have found tremendous success in their respective areas of expertise. But it's about finding out kind of like the back end of that success. I think I've repeated this many times, we are really good at showing the shiny part of ourselves. But that's what it is, right? We do it and it's inspiration and it's entertainment and all of those things. But I think what happens with that is that sometimes people get this misguided idea of what it takes for you to get there. And we are not very good at articulating how
journey.
hard. Yes, exactly, the journey. And by the way, the journey is the interesting part, in my opinion. And so Tequila Chats is about that. It's really about finding out how do you get to be where you are right now. Part of that, and you and I have been many conversations privately and in public about this notion of the origin story, where you come from really kind of like dictates your life, right?
Yes.
And really brings color to the way in which you approach life and you approach your business. And so, do you mind
Well,
sharing with us
we
your origin
both
story?
sort of came
Yeah,
from the same humble
yeah, yeah.
beginnings in different places.
Yes, yes. So tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Well, my dad was a dairy farmer,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up with an amazing set of parents and my brother. And we thought we had a lot of money
Yeah.
because success and how much money you have doesn't necessarily make you happy.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a very happy family, and my mother, as yours,
Yeah.
told me I could do anything.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what it was I wanted to do, I could do anything.
Yeah. You know, I feel that the same way. I didn't realize that we didn't have resources until I was almost an adult. Because we didn't have excess,
I
but we had
remember the
enough.
stories.
Yeah, but we had enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was never about, and it was never about the money or the physical things that we had. It's about that connection
Yes.
and sharing with the family. And so, yeah, I'm very thankful as well for my upbringing because it's made me realize that that is the important part. And that's what I think that I take that now in my life. But with your dad in particular, do you think that you've learned what you take from your dad's kind of like work ethic? Like, is there something that you think that is part of you that you learned from your dad?
Absolutely. So, in some ways, it's amazing. In other ways, it maybe isn't quite as good because my dad worked from 5 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. So, when I first started working, I used to think, I'm not working hard enough because I would work 8 hours, 9 hours, and I'd think, my dad would never work such a short period of time.
Yeah.
But I have learned to sort of level that off
Yeah.
and to become a little more taking time with my family,
Yes,
taking
yes.
time with my husband. But I learned work ethic
Yeah.
and serious work ethic from my father, where my mother, and I know we talked about this, you learn different things from your mother, your father, teachers, my brother, everyone that's around you, you learn from.
Yeah.
And it's always great to learn all these different things. And I learned from my father that defeat is amazing because you don't know success without
Yes,
defeat.
absolutely. And I think it allows you to reposition yourself, right? It's not only learning from
Yes.
it, but you have an opportunity to start something new in some ways, right? Even if it is a little bit of what you're doing.
But you can't appreciate success
Without having that, yes,
Yes.
yes. And I think that like I have nieces and nephews and a lot of like young people in my life now because my friends' kids are now adults and in
Yes.
some ways they're already having kids, that kind
Yes.
of stuff. And something that I've noticed that maybe there is that part that is missing in which success is seen as the only way of living, and that the failure is something that is not afforded.
But what is the definition of success? Because success to me is having enough money to live and eat
Yeah.
and enjoy
Yeah.
having a home.
Yeah.
But success is not being able to enjoy another person or my children, or success to me is having success inside of being happy with everything around me,
Yeah.
not money.
Yes, yes. No, absolutely, absolutely. Is that I think that you alluded to that is that balance of all the elements that are part of your life.
Balance, that's the
understanding
perfect
that,
word.
I think I do think that there is in my opinion, I think that there is at some point a misconception as to what that balance means.
Yes.
And I think that people think that balance is like equal time for this and that, and
Yes.
sometimes it's you maybe are spending more time on your work right now, but whatever you have left in terms of time for your family is well utilized, is well enjoyed, and you are like
Absolutely
dedicating
agree.
yourself to that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also think that balance is different to everyone as far as how many hours do I work?
Yeah.
How many hours am I able to be on my phone or
Yeah.
my computer? Or
Yeah.
you must feel the balance yourself,
Yeah.
but you also must tell the people around you, this is my balance, and please understand me.
That's actually a pretty good note. Bethany is here, and Bethany knows I'm one of those people wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and I work until I fall asleep at 12
Me
o'clock
too.
at night. Yeah. And so it is, she's been really, really like on top of me at saying, you got to find those moments during the day and in your life that are going to make you enjoy what you are doing. That
I
are
like
going
that,
to,
Bethany.
right? She really is the best. Cheers to you, Bethany.
Yes, cheers.
And so no, that's pretty cool. And so in terms of your business history, where did Jade Mills start? The real estate professional.
Well, I was doing floor time, which is what no one really wants to do in our business. But in the very beginning, you have open houses.
Yeah.
You have reverse calling, which means you call owners, or you have floor time.
Yeah.
So I was sitting my floor time, and a young man called and said, I'm an LA paper delivery person, and I want to see this house. And so I was like, oh my gosh, my first day of sitting floor time, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So I called my broker and I said, what do I do now? He said, you go and walk him through the house, and if he wants to buy it, you write an offer.
Yeah.
So
That's simple, right?
well, I'm gonna go show him the house, and if he wants to buy it, I'll deal with that then.
Yeah.
I meet him there. We go through the house. It wasn't very expensive, the house. But we went through the house, and he said, okay, I want it. Well, we were both in the same place. He didn't know he had to have a down payment of 20%. He didn't know he needed
Wait,
credit.
so how long were you in the business? Were you like brand new?
Oh, I was brand new. I mean, it was my first weekend on floor time.
Yeah.
So Tiffany is sitting on the floor playing with toys. I'm waiting for the phone to ring. Grab her, run off. So it ended up, he wanted to write the offer. At the time, the offer sheet was 2 pages.
One of those, yes.
Long time ago. And so I called my broker. He walked me through writing the offer. But we didn't talk about the loan,
Yes.
getting a loan, the financing, anything. So day one is opening escrow. And we opened escrow, but nobody knew that he had to qualify.
Oh my gosh.
And he needed a down payment. So it took months, probably 4 or 5 months. But his mother-in-law to be, who became his mother-in-law, got the loan for him.
Yeah.
They loaned him money to put down, and we ended up closing the deal, standing outside in the front, looking at the house the day it closed, and we were all crying.
I love that. I love that. I really do.
So that was my entrance to real estate sales. And
Yeah.
what could be better
Yeah.
than feeling that amazing feeling that we have now?
Yeah.
But
In some ways, almost in like it's more in its purest form, in some way, right? In the
Purest
most
form.
genuine of forms. I had the same, and we talked about this before. I had the same thing with my first deal. It was a friend. He gave me this one listing, and I treated that like it was the Taj Mahal. I was like, I made it. It was all like, I did everything that I needed to do for it, and I remember closing on it. It was my one closing that year. That's all I made that one year. I think I told you it was like
Me too.
$6,000, $5,000, $6,000, and it was such a satisfaction. And it was also, I think at that moment I understood that real estate was for me. Did you feel the same way with that?
didn't you get that in cash?
Yes, what I did is I brought the check and I went to the bank and I cashed it. And I think it was all 20s or whatever, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. And I put it like on the bed. And then I waited for Michael to arrive. Michael was at work. And so Michael arrives and like we did the jump in the bed and throw the money, you know what I mean? If it would have been, nowadays it would have been a reel on that. But yeah, we celebrated the whole stuff and it was just so, I thought it was so exciting because it really made me realize that I had chosen the right business.
And that you can do it.
Yes.
That you're able to do it.
Yes.
Whatever your business, that first step that makes you feel like I've made it.
Yeah.
Is probably the most important step
It is, right?
in your business.
And so what got you into real estate? I don't think I know this.
Okay. So it's kind of a sad story, but it's a happy one for me.
Yeah.
So I married my first husband when I was 20, and I met him at Berkeley, quit school, and went on the road. He was a singer.
Okay.
So 3 years later, I was pregnant with Tiffany, my first daughter, and he looked at me and said, well, what are we going to do now that we have this baby? And I said, we're taking her with us. And I think he was like, no, this doesn't work for me. And he left.
Yeah. Now, right? At this
So,
point.
so we bought a little house in Sherman Oaks, and my parents said, we can't help you. We don't have money to help you.
Yeah.
So I went to work at the Century Plaza Hotel as a cocktail waitress while
Yeah.
I got my real estate license. And then I said to the man who sold our little house, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, come into our office and be a real estate agent. So
It was by chance.
it was by chance, but
Yeah.
the rest is history, and I love it.
Right. Do you feel that it was love at first sight?
I feel like it was really, really difficult in the beginning, but I feel like I love people as you do.
Yeah.
What other business can we do where we can make our own hours, even if they're long,
Yeah.
and meet new people all the time
Yeah.
and make people happy?
Yeah, where being yourself is your biggest asset. I think that that's the biggest value for me in terms of real estate. Yeah.
People that are successful in our business
Yeah.
love people and want to do a good job.
Yes. Yes.
I
That
think
is the
those are-
yes. That's exactly that. And they communicate very clearly who they are and their value proposition, and there is
Yes.
no. And then they attract the people that they're supposed to work with.
Yes.
And so you think that's what happened to you in terms of your success? Like at what let me ask you a question, because like I felt at least a couple of times I've been doing this now for 19 years, I think I mentioned it to you. And a couple of times I felt this almost like the tipping point. Like I felt like suddenly things are moving in some direction. Like, by the way, right now I'm in that moment in my business, in my life, in my career, that literally I feel like, oh my God, it's tipping, and I know it's good. Like I know it's gonna be positive, and certainly I am kind of like freaking out. I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Yes.
What is gonna happen? But what was your first tipping point? Was it defined by a transaction, or you think
It
that the
was.
stars aligned and then it took off?
I think the first tipping point for me was I listed a house for $7 million, and this was years ago. And someone called me on the sign and said, I think we want to buy that house. So I had the buyer and the seller on this property, and it was, for me, a huge
Are you kidding me? It's a big deal now.
commission.
Yeah.
Then they said to me, well, we also have a house that we want to sell. So I bought that home for them. And then they took me to a home in Bel Air, and they said, we want $20 million for this. That was the first time I felt like I was in the big time.
The big leagues, yes. Yes.
And I would say from then on, I used that sale.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you do to maintain that? Because I think sometimes what happens is that you get that one break and it becomes a one-off, right?
You can't allow that to happen.
So what do you do to make that
You
continue?
do everything you can to promote that sale. And the $20 million listing, I spent way more than I should have advertising, promoting. I mean, I did all the magazines, the newspaper, but that was my ladder
That was it.
to the next
That was that
group.
chance. Yeah.
And it was a big opportunity for me, and I used it.
Yeah, no.
You know my husband, you know Adam very well. Whenever I didn't want to spend money and I would say, oh my gosh, that's whatever the dollar amount was to do it, he'd say, we're investing in our career.
That is Michael. Michael is like, you have to spend money to make money. He really is like my biggest supporter in that sense.
He is.
Yeah.
He's wonderful.
Oh,
Michael.
yes, he is nice. He's in Miami right now, so I don't think if I'm... Well, I'm here with you in LA, so I have nothing to complain about.
No, you
right?
can't complain.
No, seriously. So that you felt that it was that specific piece of business created that tipping point for you. Do you feel like that tipping point continues to happen often? Because I feel like a lot of people feel like a business should feel stable and it should feel like there should be no surprises. I feel like the changes on a regular basis are what allows for that growth. What has been your experience in terms of those
I
opportunities?
think our business is always changing. And it's like, do you want to do homes? Do you want to do a building? Do you want to take on a 25, 30 unit condominium project?
Yeah.
You are amazing at this. This is something that I worked on a project. It didn't go perfectly, and I'm very happy just being in selling homes.
Yes, yes.
But for you, you are the professional here. You're amazing at selling. You are
thank you.
at selling buildings. So I think our jobs are always different because we're always sort of down a different path. But I think for me, I will continue doing homes because that's what I love.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. You know, it's that thing of finding your, I guess we call it a niche, But I think it's also finding your calling in some ways, you know?
Yes. Well, I also think you work with people. You tend to work with people that you want to work with.
Yes.
And so I happened to get in with a group of people that I really enjoyed being with, and they referred me to this friend and that friend. And now I would say maybe 80% of my business is referral business.
Yeah.
So although I want to stay relevant, I want to stay on the back of the playbill that Adam says you must keep forever, I advertise in that way, but I really don't promote myself because of all the referral business that I'm getting.
Yeah. And so you think that diversifying the way in which you are promoting your business has been part of your success, your overall success?
I started because my children were in school.
Yeah.
And so we started at school. And we were on the Beverly Hills Parents Association and this and everything to do with the school.
Yeah.
And then I would actually ask the parents that I knew were going to sell or wanted to buy. I would actually ask them. And that is another thing in our business. A lot of agents don't want to ask.
Don't ask, yes.
If you don't ask,
yes,
you don't get.
I know. But you know, I think it comes with experience. It really does. Because I do remember being a new agent, and you don't want to ask because you don't want to be told no. And being told no, it's part of your learning curve. Because then you hear that no. I think, in my opinion, you hear that no as like, what else is that I'm going to adjust now in order to minimize those no's in the future.
I love something that I just stumbled upon. So my daughter said to me, Mom, you have to ask clients how they want to communicate. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a perfect time to ask. As I'm exiting on a listing appointment, I now say, and now that we're going to be working together, how would you like to communicate?
Yeah.
Email, text,
whatever it is.
phone. And they'll reply.
Yeah.
And that puts them in the position, oh, I'm going to be working with her.
Now, let me switch the conversation a little bit. It's in the same line of what we were talking about. Because you certainly have a very ratified business. You know, you work with a lot of celebrities. Your price point is, extremely high.
Sometimes.
No, but no, it is. No, I know that you do absolutely everything. And I think that's the beauty, right? Is like, I remember years ago, there was an agent that would be like, I don't do anything under blah, 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 blah. Well, the guy's gone, right? Like, he has no business anymore. Because if that's really, if your benchmark is a price point, at what point, you're going to have a balanced business.
And
if
you're
that price
not
point doesn't
looking
work.
out for your client.
Yes, exactly. You're just looking for that price point. So it's good to work in all of the price points. There's everything from a rental, first-time home buyer to a big building. But yours is very ratified because of the business that you have built for yourself, and certainly where you are. At what point? What happened? Because I'm assuming that you feel like you made it.
No.
Come on.
No.
You must feel like, okay, this is not you made it as I'm done, but like you made it as I've arrived. At what point you felt like you arrived in this market? Because it's very ratified.
I don't ever feel, when I close an escrow, I always say to Adam, oh my gosh, will there be another one like this?
Yeah.
I mean, I just do. And I mean, maybe I really don't understand what I've arrived means because I feel I had a very humble background.
Okay.
So I never feel, I always feel like I'm looking up to other people who have been really successful.
Yeah.
And maybe for different reasons or just in a different way. So I don't really feel like I've arrived.
You know, I love that answer because I feel exactly the same way. I feel like I'm always looking for what is next.
Me too.
And I think it brings a little bit of discomfort, but I do like that little bit of discomfort. I don't know if I'm making sense to you.
I do too.
Yeah. There is something about that that I think is reassuring.
I absolutely agree. And I really feel like when you think, okay, I've made it, there's no other way to go but
Well,
down.
you lost the edge. If you
Yeah.
made it, you lost the edge.
Yeah, I agree.
But how has been the work with celebrity clients? It's because it's got to be, talk about a niche, right? Like a very, very specific way of operating. Because I'm assuming that the back end is pretty big. There are a lot of people involved. Just besides the person, there's an entire team most likely, particularly with the A-list celebrities. What is the learning curve with something like that?
I would say, they're just so human. A lot of people will say, "Oh my gosh, this one is like this or this one's like that." I mean, and the other question I get asked a lot is this your friend? Some like huge celebrity, is this your friend?
Yeah.
Yes, she's my friend on a business level, but no, she doesn't call me in the morning and say, "What's your day?"
You're not doing like, yes,
No.
you are not eating breakfast.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and not traveling together.
Yeah.
So, and maybe sometimes we do, but that's not the norm.
Yes, yeah.
But I would say I started working with a few different business managers and many of the celebrities that I work with, no one knows because I won't talk about it.
Yeah.
The ones that people know about are the ones that you can Google.
Yeah.
And they come up for one reason or another. But one of the most important things with working with celebrities is not talking about it.
Yes, of course. That
And
privacy,
their
which they don't have,
privacy
by the way. Yeah.
is so important to them.
Yeah.
And when I list a house, I always say to them, if you want to be in the Wall Street Journal, we'll write your the verbiage because I don't want it. I'm trying not to say anything you don't want to say. But whatever we do say, they're going to take and write whatever way
Whatever
they
they
want
want,
to.
yes.
But I would rather try to skew that the way you want it. So we do that in the beginning. And a lot of people will say, I want to do that. And then there are other people who will say, I don't want to do it at all. So, but I think working with celebrities, you start out showing them property, and then they don't write the offer. Then you work with the business manager, and then during escrow, you work with the attorneys.
The attorneys and yes, the managers, whatever it is that they have as a team.
And at the end, it's always, for me, I think it's always happy because we did it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's always what
That's
we
what it
love.
is about. Yes, that's what it is
We
about.
love
Yeah.
the end and when it's done and when people are happy.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's exactly it. It certainly mimics what we do with a lot of our clients, and I think that that's kind of like the key of developing is this ability to have this very clear relationships and then this very clear kind of like process.
Yes.
So that people know exactly what you're doing, how you're doing it.
Yes.
And so there is a pretty specific set of expectations.
Also, when you do a great job, they're going to refer you.
Yeah.
And what's better than that?
Absolutely. No, that's what it is about, right?
So it's all about you feeling good and them feeling good.
Yeah. So now let me, if it's okay with you, move it into a little bit of a personal question. Not too personal, so don't get. Certainly, real estate has been spectacular to me because I've been able to build something that I could have only dreamt of, right? In terms of the relationships, the friendships, everything has just been absolutely extraordinary. But I think that there have been points in which I've had doubts. I've doubted myself as to my ability maybe to continue to move forward. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever had doubts about like your journey in real estate, or you have always felt very like strong about your direction? Just curious.
I've always known what direction I wanted to go, but many times I have thought this isn't going like I wanted it to. Or if we go on a listing appointment and for some reason they don't hire us,
Yeah.
it's devastating.
Yes, you take it very personal, yes.
And
Many times.
I always feel like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
What could I have done better? And the key to our success and the reason that I feel we can go on with those bumps in the road is because knowledge is king.
Yeah.
And if you have more knowledge than anyone else in
Yeah.
our business, you'll be successful and you'll get those listings.
So is there anything that you would tell Jade on her first day in real estate that you have learned right now that you think she should know at that point?
Absolutely. When people come in and say, can I shadow you? Can I be with you? I say to them, spend that time learning the business. Spend that time taking courses and classes
Yeah.
and study the ML, whatever your local,
Yeah.
study
Your market,
the
yes.
neighborhood.
Know your market,
study
yes.
because no one really told me that. I was thrown into this office, and I tell people, shadowing someone is great. Surround yourself with people who have done well in the business, but knowledge is the most important thing you can have. I wish someone had told me that very early on, rather than sit and do floor time
Yes, yes. Like chase the deal, right?
and
Yeah.
go sit in open house and hope someone comes in so you can tell them what.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
you don't have the knowledge, you're not credible.
Yeah.
And with no credibility, you can't be successful in any business.
So I think that there is a misconception about people working in the luxury market because, as we discussed earlier, people only see kind of like the end result. But when we hear your story, when we hear some of our other colleagues' stories, most of the people that are really thriving in that very specific market are not necessarily people that grew up in that world. It's just learn to develop a skill set. What advice would you give to somebody that is trying to break into the luxury market? Because I think most people want to do it. It's just sometimes you feel, shy about it or nervous about it. And so what would you tell people to do?
What is the luxury market? What is the luxury market to you? And what is the luxury market to them? Because a lot of times people will say, how do I get into the luxury market? I mean, did you ever plan to get into the luxury market?
No.
Me either.
No. But I behave at the highest, most elevated standard. I was almost like preparing myself to break into that market, knowingly or unknowingly. I don't know if you had the same experience with it.
I only wanted to sell in one area,
Yeah.
and I went after that area.
Yeah.
And that's my luxury market. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're the same way.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
when
yeah.
people ask me, I tell them, pick an area. And it's like the luxury, how do you treat a luxury client? People say to me, the same way I treat any client.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in your market.
Yeah.
Go after an area that you want to go after. That's your luxury.
Did you get any like pushback when you were trying to break
Lots.
into that? Right? I you know what it is? I do feel like sometimes people put you in specific boxes and then they expect you to operate within those boxes. And the moment in which you start breaking from them, it throws people on a spin and they don't know what to do with you. You feel the same way as
What
you were
I
breaking
tell
through?
young agents now is if you want to get into a $5 million market and you're in $1 million market, take another agent with you. Take an agent with you, split the listing 50-50, and if that's your first listing above $5 million, it's much easier to do that again and again
Yes.
after you've had one.
Yes.
So take an agent with you
Yeah.
who has that experience.
Yeah, be creative with it and build a skill base
Yes.
that you need in order to
Yes.
that. Yes. It's really really interesting because obviously we're not operating in a vacuum. We're operating in the real world. And so we deal with real world interactions and how people perceive what we are doing. And I think sometimes people put this bad energy on you and it's up to you to react to it one way or another. And the best way to react, to your point, is just find that spin, find that pivot, and build what you need to build, right?
Do not listen
Yeah, you can't listen to
any
people, right?
negativity.
No.
Because people used to say to me, you're out of your area, you're beyond your field, whatever
Yeah.
it may be.
Yeah.
I put my blinders on, and my mother told me I could do anything
There
like
we go. And
yours.
she was right.
And so is yours.
Yes, they were right. They're absolutely right.
So I believe it. You believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to listen to that little voice in your head that
Yeah.
says, I can do anything.
I think that it's impulsive sometimes not to let those things get to you in for a second. I think that you get better, and tell me if you agree with this, you get better at like dismissing all that negativity and all that bad spin and all the comments and the side
Oh.
eyes, all the stuff that happens in the world. You know?
I remember in the very beginning of my career, a client making me cry.
Yeah.
And it was nothing that I would even think twice about today.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I have become calloused. I just think you know better how to handle every situation
Yeah.
with experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those kinds of things don't bother me anymore. And a lot of times, if someone's unhappy, I don't call them back like I do everyone else within an hour. I give them 3 hours to
Yeah.
think about it,
Yeah.
and then I'll call. And within those 3 hours, they've thought about why they were upset or
Yeah.
why they left that message that wasn't a bad message, but you could tell
Yeah.
that they were upset about
Yeah.
something. So give them a little time.
Yeah, but you've come to a place in your career. You truly, and I mean this. I'm not giving you whatever is the expression. I'm terrible at expressions in English. I can never find it. Blowing hot air, is that expression?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm not blowing hot air at you or to you, whatever it is. But you truly are. You're iconic. I think that there is less than a handful of people in our business in this world in your category, and no, you truly are for the right reasons. It's not just your stellar production. I don't know if you guys, she's over $8 billion in production, which is amazing. That's more than most companies would do in internet. But I think personally, you truly are extraordinary. That's why everybody who knows you loves you so much. But I can only imagine the crap that you put up with to get to a point to where you are. What was like your coping mechanism with that? What do you do to avoid all of that stuff coming to you?
I remember years ago, I was in the car with my son, my older son, Zach, and there were 3 men on speakerphone talking to me, all talking at me.
Yeah.
And Zach was getting more and more angry. And I was listening, and he was getting me like upset, and I was starting to sort of lash back. And when we hung up the phone, I said to Zach, I said, that wasn't the right way for me to handle that. Mm-hmm. Every single time that happened after that, I did not lash back. I listened to the person. I said, I will think about this and I will call you back. That one experience with him in the car being so upset with these men for talking to me like that taught me that I wasn't going to talk back to them.
Yeah.
I was going to call them back, but not when 3 of them were.
Yes, yes.
And it really taught me to think about it and not lash back,
Yes, yeah.
but to listen and to call back. And by the way, those 3 guys after that all came to me separately and said, wow, you're amazing. You did a great, I got the listing, the parents' house right up the street from mine.
Okay.
Did a great job for them. And they all thanked me.
Yeah.
But I learned from that conversation in the car with Zach on speakerphone what not to do.
Yeah, plus I think that there is this skill of like that you learn, how could I explain this? Almost like reading between the lines. Like, sometimes you're talking to somebody, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a prospective client, and then you hear them saying certain things, and in some ways it's coded stuff that is being told to you, and whether it's consciously or unconsciously, it's almost like baiting you into reacting.
Yes.
And I think I have learned to just let that go. It's
Yes,
their problem, whatever they're
absolutely.
thinking, right? Like to me, one of the things that I get not all the time, but I get sometimes is, this is the best listing presentation. You're the best agent, but you're not the right person for my listing.
Mm-hmm.
That is, to me, there's a lot that is in between those lines.
Yes.
That I could choose to be like, what do you mean, blah, blah, blah. Or that I could choose to be like, you know what, I'm learning from this. To your earlier point, work with the people you want, not with the people that you don't need to.
And
move on.
learn
Yeah.
from every situation.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
always learn something.
Yeah, yeah. And so now, this is our last question because we need to sit outside in the deck and finish this thing. If you have to describe to anyone your key to success, what is that? What is the key to success in your
I
experience?
think there are a few keys,
Okay, tell us.
but
Yasmin.
one is integrity. Always be honest
Yeah,
with your buyer, your seller, your friends, your family. Integrity.
yeah,
Number two, do the work. Don't think that you're going to get away with not doing the work. Do the work. Do
Yeah.
the right thing. Do the right thing for your client. And three, enjoy what you're doing. And everyone will enjoy what
Yeah.
you're doing.
yeah. Well, you know what? It comes across so clearly on you. You are such an incredible person. Again, I owe you so
And
much.
you
And I
are.
love you so much. Thank you.
And I love you so much.
Well, thank you for being here.
And I'm so happy to be your friend. And I'm so happy that we met that night. And it was
Come on, guys.
love at first sight.
Yes, it is. I gotta give you that. I love you. Mwah. Thank you. Thank you for chatting
Thank
with
you.
me.
Thank
now
you
you
so
guys know
much.
why she is so incredible, so successful, and such an extraordinary person. So thank you, Jade
Thank
Mills.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.